something that's very big about your teaching is the idea of release. And can you elaborate a little bit more from physical to more of the spiritual practice?
I like to say that there are two primary qualities. Now, of course, there's more, but the fundamental two, like the mother and father of all internal work. Not just meaning in Tai Chi, including sitting work, alchemical work, samadhi, qigong, neigong, Daoyin, Tai Chi Chuan, anything. It all exists within this parameter of the mother and father. Song, or release, and ting. The ting is often translated as sensitivity. I don't like that. It's like being gluten sensitive, right? That's not something you want to be. You don't want to be sensitive. You want to be aware. You know everything that's going on, but you're not sensitive to it. Like emotionally sensitive. So, oh no, he looked at me funny and you get upset. That's not a desirable quality. You want awareness. So ting is the knowing quality, the aware, awake quality that perceives in real time. And then release, song. So release is the opposite of holding. Release is the opposite of clinging. So physically, when we're holding and clinging, the muscles are tight, the qi doesn't flow, the body's not harmonized. So we need to develop this release to achieve any basic skill whatsoever. Then the qi can move and everything. Mentally, of course, if we're clinging and holding, well, we're neurotic and crazy, and basically we have no chance. The essence of the spiritual work is release. We need to release our identification with self. So song, our identification with self. So song happens in the body, which changes the qi, which affects the mind. And song happens in the mind, which changes the qi, which affects the body. So it's complete and absolutely fundamental every step of the way. If you're ever training internal work and you're not song, you know you've stepped outside of the internal path. If you're ever training internal work and you're not applying ting, you're not aware, you know you've stepped outside of the internal path. So these two are like the walls on each side that keep you on the path. You don't want to bump into the wall or go out a doorway where you exit that straight and narrow path. Now the special thing is that their mother and father, when they come together, they produce the offspring of progress on the path. They work with each other. So release increases the knowing quality, song increases ting, and knowing quality increases release. Ting increases song. They're codependent. And as one increases, the other one increases, and you go up like a ladder and ascend the path. Simple explanation. Imagine you injure your shoulder. Okay, if you're anything like me, you know just what every injury feels like. So you've hurt your shoulder. So it's all inflamed and swollen and it's locked up, right? In other words, when it's locked up and injured like that, there's no release. It's blown up, it's tight. There's no soul. Now, someone says, "I'll get your mind inside your shoulder and articulate your shoulder." You can't, because it feels like a big lump of mud, of clay. You can't articulate, you can't penetrate with the mind. It feels like a lump. The lack of release blocks the knowing quality from getting in. It's impossible. So, if you take an anti-inflammatory or something, it releases a little. Oh, now I can feel it, right? Now your mind can get inside. So now you have ting. You get more ting, then you can use the ting to command soul, to make more release. The ting commands more song. More song allows more release, allows more knowing. More knowing, you can increase the song. More song allows deeper knowing. They feed off each other. They work together. Without them, there's no path at all. Same thing happens with emotional qualities, mental qualities, everything.
What's qi in Tai Chi Chuan?
Okay. Well, I never like to just say what qi is in the terms of giving it a translation. We just use the word qi. Now, for people that understand qi, I'll say this. You need some of it, more than how much is keeping you alive. The chi that's keeping you alive is not sufficient. You need more. So there are important factors to build up the chi, to become successful in Tai Chi. Not just Tai Chi as martial art, but Tai Chi as path. We all know the basic sources, right? Food, air, and the sun. They're sort of the main sources. You need sun, you got to breathe, and you got to eat. Eat good food and enough of it. Breathe good air and breathe deeply, but more importantly, breathe good air. It doesn't matter if you're doing fancy breath patterns and you're breathing in city air, right? You need good air. And get some sun. Get out of the office. So that's the basic fundamental just to get some postnatal chi. Then there's the chi that we have from mummy and daddy, right, that we're born with, and that we throw away by being twisted sexually and like partying, basically. So too much sex and watching pornography and being nuts and taking drugs and drinking and all that kind of stuff. It's all good in moderation, but too much you deplete that kind of chi. So you have to increase through good habits and maintain some form of restraint. Restraint is at the essence of the path, so that you don't throw everything away. Now, what throws chi away? Well, sex and drugs and all that, of course, but there's something much worse. The great culprit is emotion. Our emotions burn the chi up. So you need to get a hold of yourself and find some kind of equanimity, like we were talking about before, some kind of stillness, so the emotions aren't burning up all your chi. If you train in the morning and do your qigong and try and develop chi and eat good food and then you're an emotional wreck every day, you're never going to get anywhere. It's not going to happen. You're just spending more than you're earning, right? So this is basic chi, how to increase the nei chi, the internal chi that's basically just like the medical chi in our organs running through our meridians, that just everywhere. This is vital. You must increase the actual substance itself. If you don't have any substance, you don't have anything to work with. Now that's standard for all internal practice, not for Tai Chi. But Tai Chi is different. Even though we have the same substance, it changes when we start to do Tai Chi Chuan. When you practice Tai Chi, the yin-yang differential creates the specific chi of Tai Chi. The differential between stillness and movement and other aspects of yin and yang create the chi of Tai Chi out of the nei chi, out of the standard chi, which is our health chi. So you need to build the health chi, and then when you do the training, it changes it. It turns it into the Tai Chi, the chi of Tai Chi. So difficult to explain, but let's just say that yin-yang creates it. And if you understand electricity at all, that's a hint.
Dantian, it's something, the Dantian is quite misunderstood of where it is, what it is. Different systems have different places for it. What is your understanding of it in your system of Tai Chi?
So once again, look, you know, these terms, it depends what your teacher means when he says it. But generally in Tai Chi, it's totally misunderstood. For one, people talk about it a lot, but they can't even open their shoulders. So it's like, oh, my awesome Dantian power, but your shoulders are totally locked up, so really the power can't even get past your arm. So it's above your pay grade is usually what I say. Don't worry about it. Then there's people that move their waist and, you know, use this kind of stuff and call it the Dantian, but it's the waist. That's the waist. That's your abdominal muscles, or you know, you moving the muscles in your waist. I'm pretty sure the Dantian is not the muscles in your waist, so the waist is not the Dantian. What it isn't is important. The Dantian is the Dantian. It's not the waist. Okay, so elixir field. You're not born with it. So if you haven't made it, it doesn't matter. It's made from specific practices, it's created, it's generated. And honestly, in Tai Chi Chuan, it only matters at very high levels. Usually what we're using is the qi in the abdominal bag, which you could call the sea of qi. And you're moving and mobilizing the qi of your whole body and this sea of qi to create power, not using dantian proper most of the time. Most people, when they're talking about the dantian, they're really talking about the waist. And it's inaccurate use of the term. A lot of alchemical terms have been thrown in because of the source of Tai Chi Chuan. And at the higher levels, yes, it would be true, you would be using the real dantian. But for pretty much everybody, it doesn't matter. They're just going to be using their body. So they're using the waist, which is okay, but let's call it the waist.
So we don't really even have a dantian at the beginning?
That's right, you only have a tian, you only have the field. The elixir is made from alchemy, really. Not from moving your waist around in fancy patterns or from talking about the dantian. So what's funny is that it becomes a kind of arrogance common, where people are like, oh, you're using your legs or you're using the ground, but I'm better than you, I'm using dantian power, something like that, which is laughable because all those people don't even have a dantian. So, how can you do that when you don't have a dantian? It's just people using words to make themselves think they're better than other people. Sales tricks as well. The true dantian is developed. And yes, at the highest levels of Tai Chi, yes. But what most people need to be concerned with is how to use their legs and their qua and their waist and how to use their body. And actually to get some qi, right? They don't even have any qi, let alone a dantian.
At which point does one have a dantian? Does that mean it's something physical?
No, it's qi. You have the dan, which is made out of jing, qi and chen, jing, qi and chen, combined in a certain way from certain exercises. Then you have a dantian. You have the pill, the elixir. Without that, you don't have it. But even just qi properly, that's not just waist qi, most people don't have that. They need to be more concerned with filling the sea of qi. So we think that this sort of basin, right, in the waist and the pelvic girdle, I guess, the abdominal bag, needs to be filled with qi. So by increasing the nei qi of our health, by food and breathing and sun and standing practice and doing the form and sinking the qi so it fills up. If you don't sink the qi, it's not going to fill up, it's all going to go up. Then you actually get a sea of qi, right? So then when you move, it can mobilize out and move through your limbs, move through the Jin Lu, the power lines, to create the powers of Tai Chi Chuan. That's a more important concern than just using fancy words.